understanding offer a comforting presence as you navigate your own unfolding path. Please subscribe to the Alanwatts Echo for more content like this. Thank you for joining us on this shared reflection. Until next time, may your path be illuminated by the wisdom found within. We look forward to our next shared moment, where we might explore how this inherent completeness finds expression amidst the dynamic flow of daily experience. The quiet secret: you are already what you yearn to be. For all your earnest efforts to become a better version of yourself, what if that very pursuit is precisely what obscures a quiet, astonishing truth? Perhaps the completeness you relentlessly seek is not a distant destination, but the inherent ground upon which your journey already stands. Consider this: you might already be what you yearn to be. The journey often began subtly, a faint whisper in the quiet moments, suggesting that something essential remained just beyond reach. One might wake from a peaceful slumber, the tranquility of the night fading, only for a familiar, almost imperceptible ache to surface. It was not a pain precisely, but a deep-seated apprehension, a sense of an unfilled space within the core of one's being. This sensation was rarely acknowledged directly, yet it subtly steered countless decisions, coloring perceptions and shaping the very trajectory of a life. Across varied landscapes and amidst diverse experiences, this internal resonance persisted. It manifested as a quiet yearning for what was not present, a persistent belief that genuine contentment, lasting joy, or profound peace lay somewhere in the future, just beyond the next achievement, the next acquisition, the next transformation. A person might find themselves standing on the precipice of a long-sought accomplishment, perhaps a significant career milestone or a deeply desired relationship, only to discover that the anticipated feeling of absolute fulfillment remained elusive. The joy, while real, often proved transient, settling into a new baseline from which the whisper of more would inevitably arise again. This continuous measuring, this unconscious assessment of one's current state against an idealized future became a constant internal dialogue. The present self was often deemed insufficient, a preliminary sketch awaiting its masterpiece. One imagined a version of themselves who was more composed, more successful, more loved, more at peace. This envisioned future self, glittering with all the qualities currently perceived as absent, served as an unyielding benchmark. The chasm between the here and now and the there and then felt vast, a demanding expanse that necessitated constant striving, perpetual effort. Every new pursuit, every self-improvement endeavor, every aspiration for betterment arose from this fundamental conviction that one was in some intrinsic way incomplete. The subtle dissatisfaction, therefore, became a constant companion. It was not always loud or disruptive, but a pervasive undertone, a hum beneath the surface of daily life. Even in moments of apparent serenity or genuine happiness, a faint tremor of, "Is this all there is?" or "I still need to," could be discerned. This subtle unease became the hidden engine of ambition, the quiet fuel for relentless activity. One might dedicate years to refining skills, accumulating resources, or cultivating specific characteristics, driven by the unspoken hope that these external adjustments would finally silence the internal echo of absence. The very act of desiring, it seemed, began to define what was perceived as lacking. The yearning for security created the felt absence of it. The pursuit of recognition sharpened the sense of being overlooked. Each new desire, born from this foundational perception of incompleteness, painted a more vivid picture of what one did not possess, thus reinforcing the very void it sought to fill. The cycle deepened, weaving a complex tapestry of hopes and efforts, each thread pulled by the invisible string of an unfulfilled inner space. It was a profound, almost agonizing paradox. The relentless search for wholeness seemed, ironically, to perpetually highlight its perceived absence, leaving one to endlessly chase a reflection that forever receded into the horizon of what comes next. This persistent, almost primal hunger, this deep-seated conviction that true essence lay just beyond the immediate moment, constituted a profound and pervasive internal conflict, one that shaped the very fabric of countless individual experiences. The pervasive sense that true fulfillment lay always ahead, a distant shore yet to be reached, shaped countless lives. It was a deeply ingrained notion that a better self existed, waiting to be unearthed or painstakingly constructed. This perfected future identity became the ultimate destination, promising an end to the quiet ache that stirred within. One often found themselves operating under the unspoken assumption that the present moment, the current I, was merely a temporary stage, a raw material awaiting refinement. Societal narratives played a profound role in solidifying this perspective. From early lessons on self-improvement to widespread portrayals of heroic journeys, the message was clear. Life was an ascent, a process of continuous transformation. Advertisements subtly hinted that acquiring certain possessions would elevate one's status or happiness. Educational systems encouraged striving for higher grades, better institutions, and more impressive qualifications. Media often celebrated individuals who had overcome their past, implying that the past self was somehow deficient and only through arduous effort could true worth be realized. Role models, revered for their achievements, inadvertently reinforced the idea that greatness was something earned through exceptional endeavor, rather than an inherent quality. These collective stories wove a compelling tapestry, presenting becoming as the primary purpose of existence. Personal aspirations, deeply influenced by these external narratives, mirrored this trajectory. An individual might dedicate years to mastering a skill, believing that its attainment would unlock a new level of self. One might embark on rigorous physical regimens, convinced that a sculpted form would manifest greater confidence or attract more admiration. Relationships were sometimes pursued or ended with the conviction that a different partnership would finally complete one's emotional landscape. Even spiritual quests, intended to reveal deeper truths, often began with the premise of finding a lost connection or achieving a higher state of consciousness. Each of these endeavors, while seemingly noble and beneficial, subtly carried the implicit understanding that the current self was incomplete, lacking something vital that resided only in a future, improved version. Yet a curious paradox lay hidden within this grand design. The very act of relentlessly chasing this future self, this idealized vision, inadvertently drew one's attention away from the quiet truth residing in the present. Fulfillment, framed as a distant destination, perpetually receded. Each mountain climbed simply revealed another, higher peak. Each goal achieved merely set a new, more ambitious target. The joy of arrival, while momentarily sweet, often gave way to the familiar hum of desire, prompting the next phase of striving. This continuous journey of becoming, though outwardly productive, created an intricate veil, subtly obscuring what already was. The fundamental premise that wholeness and true identity were something to be acquired became a lens through which reality was filtered. The focus on what will be cast a shadow over what is. The vibrant, living experience of the current moment, with all its inherent richness and complexity, was often relegated to a stepping stone, a means to an end. This constant forward-looking orientation prevented a deep recognition of the unchanging essence that underlay all transient experiences, all fluctuating emotions, and all evolving identities. The self became synonymous with its progress, its potential, its projected future, rather than its intrinsic, unconditioned being. Thus, the journey of becoming could ironically lead to an endless cycle of future-oriented striving. The elusive, better self always seemed just beyond grasp, necessitating more effort, more transformation, more time. The very quest for completeness inadvertently perpetuated the perception of absence. The quiet truth that one was already inherently whole, already perfectly aligned with the essence of what they sought, remained unseen, veiled by the persistent belief in a need to achieve, to change, to become. It was a profound and widespread illusion, deeply embedded in the human experience, guiding countless individuals away from the immediate recognition of their own profound and inherent nature. Amidst the tireless search for a perceived missing element, there existed precious, often unbidden, interludes where the familiar illusion of incompleteness simply faded away. These were moments not willed into being by effort or rigorous discipline, but rather arose organically, like a sudden clearing in a densely forested landscape. They offered quiet revelations, glimpses of an unconditioned state of being, utterly present and inherently whole, entirely independent of any achievement or external validation. One might find themselves engrossed in a creative endeavor. A painter, for instance, might stand before a blank canvas, initially burdened by technique and expectation. But then, as the brush moved and colors blended, a profound shift occurred. The artist's sense of a separate self, observing and judging, slowly dissolved. There was only the act of painting, an immersive dance between intention and material. The passage of time became irrelevant, the internal monologue silenced, and the usual concerns about worth or future outcomes vanished. In that vibrant space, the individual was no longer merely a painter striving for mastery, but an unfragmented expression of the creative flow itself, experiencing a deep resonance with the very act of bringing something into being. The sense of yearning, which usually prompted the desire for a completed work to prove one's ability, simply wasn't there, only a profound, effortless presence. Similarly, a musician, perhaps practicing an intricate piece, might transcend the mechanical act of hitting notes. At first, there was the struggle, the focus on precision, the awareness of what was yet to be perfected. But then, as the melody unfurled with effortless grace, something within shifted. The individual became one with the sound, an intrinsic part of the unfolding harmony. The instrument, the room, the listener, all dissolved into a singular field of resonant energy. In such moments, the musician discovered that the music was not something being made by them, but rather flowing through them, an expression of an underlying order. The need to impress, to achieve, to become a better musician ceased its clamor. What remained was an undeniable fullness, a quiet joy in simply being, utterly immersed in the present sonic landscape. Beyond the realm of artistry, these moments often unfolded in the profound stillness found in nature. A person might walk through an ancient forest, initially with a mind preoccupied by the day's worries or future plans. The rustle of leaves, the scent of damp earth, the play of light through the canopy, these subtle details gradually began to command full attention. As the internal narrative quieted, the boundaries between the individual and the vastness of the natural world seemed to soften. The observer became part of the observed, a single thread woven into the immense tapestry of existence. The customary separation, the sense of being a distinct entity navigating an external world, momentarily dissolved. In that unburdened state, there was no past to regret, no future to anticipate, no self to improve. Only the raw, unfiltered experience of being present, connected, and inexplicably whole within the boundless expanse. Gazing at the rhythmic expanse of an ocean, one could experience a similar dissolving. The endless horizon, the ceaseless ebb and flow of waves, invited a stillness that transcended personal concerns. The smallness of individual worries against the backdrop of such immensity often led to a profound shift in perspective. The mental chatter about what I lack or what I need to do became insignificant, drowned out by the grandeur of the moment. A deep calm settled, revealing a state where self-consciousness receded, replaced by a simple, unadorned awareness. Here, the yearning for completion was absent, not because it had been fulfilled by something external, but because the very notion of incompleteness had vanished, revealing a pre-existing fullness. Moments of genuine connection also served as powerful unveilings. In the shared laughter with a friend, where defenses dropped and true resonance was felt, the separate identities seemed to merge into a singular experience of shared humanity. During an act of profound compassion, when one's heart opened entirely to another's suffering, the sense of a bounded self diminished, revealing a deeper, boundless empathy. In these interactions, the need for validation, for being enough, or for receiving something external, evaporated. The experience itself was the fulfillment, a quiet affirmation of an inherent interconnectedness that transcended individual aspirations. The customary striving to be seen, to be understood, to be loved, simply dissolved in the radiant presence of authentic, unconditioned giving and receiving. These instances, whether born from creative flow, natural immersion, or heartfelt connection, were not achievements to be claimed or sustained. They were brief, yet potent, windows into a different way of experiencing existence. They offered proof, not through logical argument, but through direct felt experience, that the state of being truly whole and utterly present was not a future acquisition, but an ever-present possibility, a foundational truth that occasionally shone through the veils of striving and perceived lack. They were quiet revelations, hinting at a reality where the profound completeness one yearned for was not something to be earned or found, but something that simply was. A profound paradox lay at the heart of the earnest search for true nature or completeness. The very diligence of the quest, the focused intention to uncover what felt missing, could, ironically, serve to obscure the constant presence of that which was sought. One often embarked upon this journey with a map of external milestones or internal transformations, convinced that the ultimate destination lay somewhere in the distance, a prize to be attained after considerable effort. The mind, in its diligent quest to find, habitually directed its gaze outward or forward. It meticulously analyzed personal history, projected future ideals, and sought validation in accomplishments or relationships. Every external achievement, every acquired piece of wisdom, every self-improvement technique became another step on a path that seemed to lead away from the immediate. This powerful habit of perception inadvertently caused one to overlook the self that was the inherent ground of the search itself. Like an eye trying to see itself directly, or a hand trying to grasp its own grip, the seeker often looked past the very essence that enabled the seeking. The truth was not a hidden object to be unearthed, but the unmoving awareness that illuminated the act of searching. Consider the person who sought inner peace with fervor, dedicating countless hours to meditation or philosophical study. The very act of pursuing peace implied its current absence, creating a subtle mental framework where peace was always a future state, an effect of successful practice. Yet the quiet presence that witnessed the yearning, that observed the effort, that remained even when peace felt distant, that very presence was the unconditioned ground from which all experience arose. It was the constant, unchanging backdrop against which the drama of seeking played out. By identifying with the search itself, by placing belief in a destination, the mind subtly veiled the immediate, ever-present reality that required no effort to exist. This secret, then, was not something lost in time or hidden behind layers of esoteric knowledge. It was not a grand revelation awaiting a chosen few. Instead, it was what ceaselessly manifested as the experience of being, the fundamental awareness animating every moment. It was the taste of the morning coffee, the sound of rain, the feeling of breath, the quiet knowing beneath all thought. Yet this ever-present truth was frequently obscured by the incessant activity of thought, the continuous stream of labels, judgments, and conceptual frameworks that we applied to ourselves and the world. Each thought, each definition, each story about who we were or ought to be acted as a fine, intricate veil, making it seem as though the true self was something separate, complex, or conditional. The labels we affix to ourselves, learner, striver, imperfect, improving, created a self-referential loop, reinforcing the idea that identity was a construct always under revision. This constant mental engagement, while sometimes productive in the external world, paradoxically prevented a direct recognition of that which simply is. The mind, designed to differentiate and categorize, struggled to grasp something so fundamental and pervasive that it could not be neatly contained within a concept or an image. It sought a concrete answer, a definable truth, unaware that the answer was the very consciousness observing the question. Thus, the profound irony unfolded. The more diligently one sought completeness, the more one inadvertently reinforced the notion of their own perceived incompleteness. The journey became a perpetual motion where the destination was always receding because the true essence was not a point on the map, but the living space within which the map itself existed. The discovery was not of something new, but the recognition of something profoundly old, something that never left, never arrived, but simply was. The quiet, unconditioned presence that lay at the core of all experience, waiting to be acknowledged beyond the ceaseless activity of the mind. A quiet invitation began to emerge for those who had journeyed through the intricate landscapes of aspiration and insight. The relentless pursuit, the earnest striving that once seemed so vital, gradually softened into a different rhythm. One came to recognize that the very act of seeking an external ideal, though born of a deep yearning, had often cast a shadow over an ever-present truth. The profound understanding that had flickered in moments of deep immersion in the silent grandeur of the natural world, or during the focused dance of creation, now sought a more permanent dwelling place within the heart of awareness. This understanding beckoned a gentle shift, not a forceful redirection, but a quiet turning of attention. It was a release from the imagined need to become whole, replacing it with a quiet acknowledgement of the wholeness that already was. The individual, having traversed the path of external measure and internal quest, began to sense a fundamental completeness woven into the very fabric of their being. This wasn't a conclusion arrived at through strenuous effort or intellectual gymnastics, but rather a realization that unfolded with the cessation of such effort. It was akin to discovering that the warmth one sought had always emanated from within, merely obscured by the flurry of outward-reaching hands. A profound reorientation took root. Life, with all its vivid expressions and challenges, no longer presented itself as a series of gaps needing to be filled. Instead, each experience became an opportunity for unburdened engagement. The energetic impulse to grow, to learn, to contribute did not wane. Rather, its very source transformed. No longer did aspirations spring from a sense of deficiency or a desire to attain a missing piece. Instead, they flowed forth as authentic expressions of an innate being already abundant. The former striving, once propelled by the engine of perceived lack, evolved into a spontaneous overflow, a natural unfolding of potential from a foundation of intrinsic completeness. This shift did not advocate for a withdrawal from the world's vibrant dance, nor did it imply a cessation of learning or expansion. On the contrary, it suggested a richer, more profound way of being in the world. When actions originated from a place of inherent fullness, they carried a different resonance. They were untainted by the urgency of completion, unburdened by the fear of inadequacy. The painter painted not to become an artist, but because the canvas called forth an expression of the artist already residing within. The scholar pursued knowledge not to achieve intellectual wholeness, but because the mind, in its unconditioned state, delighted in the expansion of understanding. The quiet acknowledgement of one's inherent nature cultivated a profound sense of peace. It was a peace that did not depend on external circumstances, a calm that permeated the highs and lows of existence. The inner landscape, once marked by a restless search, settled into a tranquil knowing. This knowing was not a static state, but a dynamic, ever-present reality, inviting one to simply rest in the spaciousness of what always had been and always would be. It was the understanding that the essential self remained untouched, untarnished, and unconditioned by the transient currents of life's experiences. In this quiet completion, the illusion of fragmentation dissolved, revealing the seamless unity of all things. The journey's end was not a distant shore to be reached, but the realization that one had always stood firmly on that very shore. The intricate dance of existence, with its perceived struggles and triumphs, came to be understood as the play of a wholeness that was never truly broken. The quiet secret of unconditioned completeness, therefore, was not something to be acquired, but a truth to be realized. It was an ever-present reality, continuously available to be acknowledged in each unfolding moment. This realization was not an end to living, but a profound opening into life lived from a different, deeper dimension. A dimension where the inherent integrity of being was the constant, unwavering melody. And so, our journey concludes, not with a distant answer found, but with a quiet settling into the understanding that the persistent echo within, the subtle call for more, was always a whisper of what already resided at the core of being. The perceived void was never truly empty, but a spaciousness waiting for recognition, a stillness inviting rest. This realization gently transforms the very landscape of existence, allowing a quiet completion to unfold from within. May this,